Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is part 2 of my fundamentals of form with creating art with unusual materials, which is soap. And in this video I'll be creating a faux funnel pour that utilizes kind of a midway point between light and medium trace. It does eventually kind of go to thick trace, but it's workable. But anyway, follow along as I create this, and I will be doing a voiceover, so it won't be quite real-time speed, but it will be slow enough where you can catch what I'm doing. So anyway, enjoy. So the first thing we have to do whenever we make soap is, since this is a caustic material, we got to protect our surfaces. So I have a layer of plastic wrap on my countertop with a layer of wax paper on top, and I had forgotten to film this beforehand, so you can see that there's like a little bit of stains here and there from the different so like there's a stain there, and there's a stain there, and that's just from the soap. Okay, so the first thing I have to do here is add the lye to my melted oils, which if you've seen any of my other videos, you're pretty familiar with this already. And my intent here is to have kind of a medium trace. So actually right now I kind of clean as I go, so I'm washing my little lye container so that it doesn't crust up on me, which is it's okay to let the lye sit in there because you're not putting any friction on it yet. But here's where the friction is. So stick blending this. I don't want it to be light trace, so that would be considered light trace right there. So it's kind of fluid, but we also want everything to be homogeneous as well. So we want the lye to react with all the oils. So even if it's in light trace, you got to make sure that the thing is homogeneous. Otherwise, whenever you do your pretty design, it's gonna separate. So with this particular recipe, I've noticed that because I changed one of the oils, but I noticed that it kind of shows a little bit of separation or ricing while I'm mixing it. But all I have to do is just kind of mix it up a little here and there, give it a few spurts, mix it around, and stir it up, and it becomes homogeneous again. So I don't know, because I switched out the olive oil for canola oil, and I think that made a big difference there, but it's still like a great recipe, and I love it. And so I'm not upset about that. So what I'm doing now is I first separated portions of the batter into the different colors that I want, and I've dispersed the colors, and I'm just hand mixing them. Sometimes I stick blend them to get them a little bit more in there, but I don't want to overdo it and create soap on a stick, so I'm just hand stirring this, and it's a little bit more gentle on the batter because again, my intent is to keep it at medium trace instead of going to thick trace. So I have a black, pink, and a white, and I'm gonna do a faux funnel pour. I have to add my fragrance here to each portion. So I have a little less of the white, so I want to add less of the fragrance to the white portion and more to the other two. And again, hand stirring with my head in the way, but I'm just hand stirring it so that it doesn't go overboard and seize up on me or anything like that. But this is a fruity fragrance, so it really shouldn't do that. Fruity fragrances are pretty benign. It's the floral fragrances you got to watch out for, but I still, since I'm being intentional with the type of thickness I want my soap to be, I'd better be safe than sorry and just hand stir this in here. But anyway, my design, I'd like it to be mostly black and pink with a little bit of white in there. I could probably have made a little less white batter to make it more of a subtle intrusion in there, but I did what I did, and that's what it is. Okay, so the faux funnel pour is just that. It's fake funnel. So basically there is a technique called the funnel pour, which you actually use a funnel to pour your batter in to get like perfect circles or whatever you're looking for. This is a faux funnel pour, so I'm kind of trying to mimic the funnel without using the funnel, mainly because I just don't want to dirty up another piece of equipment. But so basically I'm going to pour a little bit of the black in these corners and then pour a little of the pink on top, and it's still a little bit of a thin trace because you can kind of see that there is some swirling going on in there, which I'm not necessarily wanting to have, but it's okay because it starts to thicken up a little bit later. So yeah, I'm just pouring these in concentric circles on top of each other, and as I pour, it pushes the batter out, so it makes these like circular patterns. I'm being pretty random about it. So like my white, I poured into its own 2 separate circles, and then I'm pouring some pink on top of everything, and then some black, and then just alternate this way until I use up the batter and get what I'm looking for. So it's starting to thicken up a little bit, and if you see me kind of pounding the mold, that's basically me trying to get the batter to settle down and not sit on top of itself so much like it is, just so that it can be like flattened out and you know, I guess kind of enhance the aesthetic of it, because if it's just sitting on top of itself, it's just going to be kind of a textured top, and you don't want that. Or it could be what you're wanting, I don't know. It's just whatever you're looking for, and in this case it's not what I'm looking for. So I'm just layering the top here with black. So I have all my stuff on the inside, and then my top is going to be a little bit of black. You can see that this is a really, it's gotten a lot thicker, but it's still considered medium trace. So this is medium trace, borderline on thickening trace. So this is still not good enough to pipe, but it's thicker than medium. So I think some people might actually just call this medium, but I feel like there's like multiple phases for all these soap batters. But yeah, so anyway, I'm now spreading the black on top of the color so that all you see is black on top. And as I was making this, I didn't have a huge plan. So I'm going to get my spoon out, and I'm going to create these like little kind of triangle shapes. So my intent here is to pull a little bit of the color up so that it kind of makes like a little peeking color. I guess I don't know how to say that, but it's like it's peeking out a little bit on the side, but not too intently. You want mostly, or I wanted mostly of the black in there. So now I'm choosing some Russian piping tips, and I went for the one that looks kind of like a rose. But I will admit my batter that I left aside isn't really thick enough for piping, but I think it's, you know, it's good enough as it is. It's not leaving defined features that the tip would suggest, but it's kind of giving like the impression of something that's there, and that's kind of what I was going for anyway. So I let this sit overnight, and then I was able to cut it the next morning, and here it is. It looks kind of just like a tiger stripe here, but like with the alternating circles that I put on the inside, some of the bars are really unique. Like this one here, it's got some interesting stuff on the inside there. And I wouldn't have been able to achieve that with thin trace, so it had to have been medium trace, and thick trace would have just been too much. So I think it turned out pretty well. All right, here's the final bar, and you can see the faux funnel pour there in this kind of abstract looking drop swirl type thing. And this is the type of effect you can get with a medium trace. That way the layers aren't dumping into each other, and then they're also like giving it a little bit of form. But anyway, I will have these bars listed for sale on my Etsy shop. Just look for Left Brain Liz, and they're on there. And if you're interested in subscribing to my channel, just click on my portrait on the right. If you'd like to know when I post updates, just click on the bell. If you liked this video, just give it a thumbs up, and please, if you'd like to leave any kind of comment, feel free to do so. And I will see you next time for part 3. Bye.